and gentlemen, and welcome to the third episode of IPL Insights. And we are here to present you after 14 matches all the analytics, reports, statistics, and whatnot about IPL. Let's all gossip about IPL, guys, right now. For the past 7 matches, about the 7 matches. So let's go directly into the first match that we are going to look at. Sunrisers Hyderabad versus the Kolkata Knight Riders, which happened at Abu Dhabi. So let me ask Raghav because he is from Hyderabad himself. So Sunrisers had a bit of a bit of a stumble in the first match. So what do you think was the problem in the first match for the Sunrisers?
Thank you for the introduction, Sushrut. So, Sunrisers, they began, we all know the explosive top order Sunrisers have in the form of David Warner and Bairstow and uh, Manish Pandey. But unfortunately, what I felt Sunrisers lacked was that the batsmen, especially Bairstow and Warner, they weren't able to find their gaps. They weren't able to get going. They couldn't gauge as to what the pitch conditions were because as we've mentioned in our previous videos, the pitches in the UAE are very unpredictable. At times, the dew factor is high, and then sometimes there's no dew at all. So probably that must have been a factor as to why their batting was slow. And also, I felt the bowling could have been a little better because in the UAE, especially in Abu Dhabi, left-hand bowlers seem to have a very fun time and a good time out there due to their very low economy and the wicket-picking ability. And I don't think Natarajan and Khalil Ahmed did up to their expectations in that match. So all in all, in a major picture, I feel the batting could have been a little more better with them going for an explosive start in the beginning itself so that they could have relieved the pressure at the end in the death.
That's a very fair point. And what are your takes about Shubman Gill? Many people are calling him the new sensation, the new Virat Kohli of India. So does he have a bright future ahead? His style, gameplay.
Of course. So yeah, as I've mentioned about Warner and Bairstow, probably Shubman Gill seemed to have filled all the weaknesses of theirs. Shubman Gill, while he played his 70 odd runs, he seemed to pick his gaps well. He started well initially. He was able to gauge as to how the SRH bowlers were bowling, where their pitch line and length was, where they were pitching the ball. He picked it well. He found his gaps and he eventually made runs, eventually helping KKR win. So I feel yes, Shubman Gill does have immense potential. He just needs to keep building on this potential eventually to become a future star for our country. And of course, yes, to add on, your Owen Morgan also did a pretty good job not leaving him out. He was very good. He played a very stable innings. He was able to judge the pitch well. He was very patient and won the match for KKR. So that was a really good innings to watch, and it was a delight indeed.
That's a very fair point. I think Ian Morgan's experience paid back big time for him. And we also saw a lot of comebacks, including Pat Cummins coming back with an economy of 4.75 after the first, expensive match. And Varun Chakravarti was a surprise package for KKR. He came up with an economy of 6.25, and I don't feel Dinesh Karthik would have planned for 4 overs with Varun, but because of his great skill, Varun Chakravarti proved himself and got the complete quota out of him. So that was a wonderful match to watch. The KKR eventually won over the SRH, uh, but let's hope the Sunrisers come back stronger, as we'll be talking in the later stage about Sunrisers' next match. So now let's move to one of the most interesting matches of this IPL, Kings 11 Punjab versus the Rajasthan Royals. So it was a high scoring match with a big total, 223 runs chased down. That was amazing, fantastic to watch. By fantastic, I mean for the batsmen and not for the bowlers. Vamsi, what do you feel about the opening pair of Mayank Agarwal and KL Rahul? Has Punjab finally found their golden pair of openers?
Yeah, they have been performing really well. They had the potential, and KL Rahul, as we know, he was performing well since he has joined Punjab. Mayank was due for a good IPL, so I think this year would be that. And regarding Rajasthan Royals, people are just applauding Tewatia's efforts. It was just at the back end. The person who kept them in the hunt was Sanju Samson, who hit boundaries at will. So his knock should be appreciated in the match. And the finishing touch by Jafra Archer, who is seemingly smacking the ball to all parts of the ground with an incredible strike rate of 306. So highest for a batsman who has faced at least 12 balls in this year's IPL. And all in all, the bowlers had a really bad time. but somehow they have to come up with a plan as there are 12 matches to be played at Sharjah, and eventually they'll play at least a match in Sharjah. So they should come up with a plan to tackle the batsmen.
That's a very fair point. One notable observation out of this match was Ankit Rajput was the only Rajasthan Royals bowler who went for an economy less than 10. But if we look at the Kings 11 Punjab side, Ravi Bishnoi was excellent. He came up with an economy of 8.5, despite starting with a wide and going for those occasional boundaries and sixes. So where do you place Ravi Bishnoi on the future spinner scale? Looking at the likes of the present Kulcha combination of Kuldeep and Chahal. So where do you visualize Ravi Bishnoi in the future?
So as Graham Swan mentioned in the pre-match analysis, if he has an English granddad, he will take him back to England for as they don't have good quality spinners. So that guy is having a big heart, as his captain KL Rahul said. Even if he tosses it up and they smack him for a boundary, he comes back, he does the same thing. He sticks to his plan and he gets his wickets. So that seems to be his secret recipe, and I really appreciate his heart for a young guy playing cricket at the highest level.
That's very true. A lot of people have been coming out in support of Ravi Bishnoi on Twitter and applauding him for his amazing efforts. So all in all, it was a very fun match to watch. Agarwal and Rahul missed the highest partnership scale by just 2 runs. They are the third highest opening pair right now with 183 on their name. Bairstow and Warner lead the list with 185. So maybe in the later stage of the discussion, we'll be talking about how their opening partnership has been scaling this year as compared to the last year. I think Raghav will take that question later in the discussion. So so that was a sensational match between KXIP and RR. But one match I think which would compete with the KXIP versus RR for the edge of the seat anticipation was probably RCB versus MI when it went to the super over because of a sensational innings from the Mumbai Indians to bring their victory levels to a very close line and losing out by a very narrow margin. So, Vamsi, now what do you think of Navdeep Saini as a bowler? He went for a lot of runs in the inning stage, but he came back well in the super over. So, what would you say about him?
So I think he has the talent to bowl well, and his raw pace would have prompted Kohli to go with him during the super over. He executed his Yorkers well, and he also bowled some low full tosses outside the reach of the batsman, so which was also difficult to get away to the boundary. So he bowled a good spell during the super over and helped his team win. But I feel the death bowling of RCB is a big question mark. Yeah, still, and they're leaking runs at a huge. They're leaking runs in a huge way. So they have to find some way to alter it and get some way to plug the runs coming off during the death overs, and they have to hold on to catches. This year's IPL, the biggest talking point has been people dropping catches because they are rusty after coming after a long break. So that has also, they have to improve that also. So with respect to Mumbai Indians, Ishan Kishan played an excellent innings. He could have finished it off, but he held out in the deep. So, but it was a good innings. He was hitting everything to the boundary, competing with Pollard, which is a great thing in itself. So, but the one thing that Mumbai would be wary of is Hardik Pandya's hitting form. So he hasn't been able to hit boundaries at will. I think he'll come up good in the matches to come.
That's a very valid point. So actually, Hardik Pandya has been suffering because of his back injury and he underwent surgery. So he's coming up through rehab. So even the Mumbai Indians are not pressurizing him much, not giving him a lot of balls to bowl. Like I don't think he has bowled any ball this IPL yet. They're just keeping him at bay and like helping him out of recovery. I think that's a very appreciable trait of the Mumbai Indians to support their player that way. And a final question about this match. Devdutt Padikkal has been the Shubman Gill of RCB. Stable, calm and composed, scoring, but again, does not make it to the big name because he does not score at a very high strike rate, but he keeps consistently scoring. So what do you think of Devdutt Padikkal as an asset to RCB?
Before the start of this IPL, there was a big hype around him because RCB were constantly promoting him in their videos and stuff. So we were sure that he was going to open with some great batsmen in their team. So he has paid their trust. He doesn't hit a long ball, but he times it well. He keeps the strike rotating. And at the end of the day, that is what a team requires. The scoreboard should be ticking. So I think he has been performing well.
That's a very that's highly interesting because RCB had 4 batsmen scoring 50 plus, and Virat Kohli was the only person who looked rusty. Hope he comes around soon. So moving on to the next match. Again, this is a very interesting match. Raghav, I'll directly come to the question. So, do you think SR has sorted out their problems here?
One word, Sushrut, yes. It was a really good batting display by SRH. David Warner and Bairstow. When I initially mentioned that they weren't able to find their gaps and they were too slow at the beginning, they weren't able to judge. I feel every single aspect that I spoke about in the previous match was rectified. We saw David Warner, we saw Bairstow. They played very, very good innings. They played professional cricket. They were able to judge those gaps which I was talking about. They were able to, they got going in the initial stages itself. It became a little easier to relieve the pressure of them at the depth. And one good thing for SRH this time was that they brought in Kane Williamson. Like, yes, I agree, Mohammad Nabi bowled a very, very good over back against KKR by not giving any boundaries. That was superb, excellent. But probably David Warner, I feel he made a good decision by bringing in Kane because they needed that extra push. They needed an extra batsman to get more runs, to have a backup so that if in case the openers at all couldn't get going, they have another quality international batsman, probably in the form of 1 down or 2 down, who could step in and anchor the show and eventually finish it off for them. So that was a really brilliant move from SRH, and I feel they rectified all those errors that they made in the previous match with respect to the batting.
Yeah. So I would also call the match an overseas display of cricket because all the overseas players paid their money's worth. All the batsmen went for 40 plus scores, and Rashid Khan excellent with a 3.5 economy. Just one follow up question about the Delhi Capitals. Do you think Pant is being too careful here while playing?
Being very careful, in fact, because we all know Pant as an explosive batsman. There's been a lot of hype about him for being the next MS Dhoni, and the expectations have been set as a good finisher. But then, when especially after he performed so well in 2019, probably it's as Vamsi Anna just mentioned, players are back after a very long time. They're a little rusty right now, so probably it's going to take him some time. He might take his own time to get back in form. But I feel Rishabh Pant, and not just Rishabh Pant, it's Shreyas Iyer as well. Both of them need to get going for Delhi because at this point in time, it's only Shikhar Dhawan and Prithvi Shaw who are running the show. And if either one of them don't seem to have a good day, if it isn't a good day for them, they need either their 1 down or 2 down to step up and play. Exactly like how SRH rectified their errors. They had Kane Williamson come in at 2 down, who was able to anchor the show even though Manish Pandey was out for a single digit. Similarly, Rishabh Pant or Shreyas Iyer, either one of them have to get going. Else, the top order of Delhi might be in a little trouble in the further matches coming up during the tournament.
Yeah, that was an excellent point. Thank you for that point. Don't go anywhere because I'm coming to you for the next match again. Because KKR versus Rajasthan again, an excellent match. 174 KKR on the board. Rajasthan only managed 137. So my question, my doubt to you is as to whether the choice of Narayan batting at the top of the order is it hurting KKR a bit?
See, first of all, we need to look at and we need to analyze what kind of a batsman Narayan is. So Narayan, he's not a traditional opener. We all know that he's stepped into the opener spot because of his quick his knack or quick ability to score the big shots in the very beginning so that he gives a good start for the later players to come and anchor the innings and eventually relieve the pressure at the end. But this season, I don't think Narayan has really got that edge. Probably a couple of shots, excellent, but I don't think he has got the big shots this time. It eventually, on the contrast, it has reversed. It has slowed down KKR's power play innings, eventually not giving KKR a good start. So I feel that is one part which KKR might want to look at. They might want to push back Narayan until he at least gains some momentum over the batting. And I feel Dinesh Karthik should step up and take an opening because over the last 2-3 matches, I feel he has not been able to execute his position well at 2 to 3 down simply because he might need more time to set in and stabilize himself. So what I feel is Dinesh Karthik should probably come and take over the opening until Narayan somehow gets his momentum back. And once he does, he could probably step back and start opening the game for KKR.
Yeah. So with that analysis, I think that it's going to be a very fair point for any KKR selectors or someone watching this. Think about the point of bringing back Dinesh Karthik, because Narayan seems to have lost its touch. So again, it was an excellent match, but again, I would come back to you with another question about Jofra Archer. 16 out of 20 fastest deliveries, man. So this man seems to be on fire. How unstoppable is Archer? Is there something that can stop Archer? What do you think?
I guess Archer's in his prime. So for the last 1 or 2 years, he has been doing really good. He has been, see, the main reason why Archer bowls so well, a lot of us are like, wow, Archer's bowling great. But what we all don't really get into is the technicalities. Why is he bowling so good? The answer is simple. It's all in his basics. His basics are right. Just analyze his run up. All the bowlers these days, they come up with fancy run ups. They want to imitate their favorite players. They want to look cliche in their run ups and eventually want to bowl good. But what people don't understand is when your run up is not basic, when it's not comfortable to you, you eventually aren't at your best. So your run up needs to be really really comfortable for you. Even you need to adjust yourself to it, and once you adjust yourself to it, you will be able to bowl where your mind asks you to. Your line length will be perfect, and you will be able to execute your balls at the right pace that you would want to. So I feel Jofra Archer's basics are perfect. So as long as he continues to stabilize and he continues to maintain his basic strength, which is his run up and his line length, I feel he's just going to go and bang on every delivery for probably 140, 145 plus. And that was an amazing 16 out of 20 fast balls by Archer. It was a really, really good display. And I hope he continues this form in the future matches during the tournament as well.
Yeah, so that was a very interesting point. Getting the run up right. Even many people appreciated Nagarkoti for his run up, like the perfect action, where the perfect fast bowling action, textbook action. So yeah, following the textbook action is aiding people, and Jofra Archer is one living example for that. I would also like to mention Tivatia got only 1 over where he went for 6 runs. Unadkat bowled only 2 overs. So I feel Rajasthan Royals would have done better if they had, allowed these two bowlers to get more of their uh, quota. Like Unadkat could have completed his quota of 4 overs. Tivatia could have got one or more overs, so that the people who are not able to contain runs, who are leaking runs, like Ankit Rajput at that moment, they could have had a bit of rest in bowling, so that these bowlers who got their line and length right that day could have got more overs. I think that was a small piece of flaw that the Rajasthan Royals committed. But nevertheless, Tom Curran got his maiden 50. So Rajasthan Royals did suffer their first defeat, but we all have the confidence that they might come back even more stronger because they are such a team. Steve Smith is such captain. So going to the pre-final match of this discussion, Mumbai Indians versus the Kings 11 Punjab. 191 on the board for the Mumbai Indians. It was a really a comeback innings by the Mumbai Indian batsmen, especially again the likes of Kyron Pollard. Rohit Sharma came back really well. So Vamsi, I would like to ask you, Sheldon Cottrell, he went for 30 runs against the Rajasthan Royals, but now he comes back with an economy of 5. So what will be the mindset of a bowler when he goes for a lot of runs? What will be his mindset when coming for the next match? Will he be scared, or will he be taking up on the challenge?
See, the over which he went for 30 runs, it happens some days. See, you have seen Broad going for 6 sixes, but that doesn't mean he isn't a good bowler. One of the modern day greats in test bowling. So that was a bad day at the office, but he is usually bowling well in this IPL. Being his debut season, he's been bowling extremely well. Change in lines would help him, but as you said, in the match against Mumbai Indians, he bowled really well. And one observation was he could have bowled the final over, but KL Rahul wanted to try something new with Krishnappa Gautam. But as we know, Pollard and Hardik Pandya can smack it long, and bowling a spinner to them was a bit of a bad decision, according to me. But the captain would have thought something creative. Had it paid off, we would have appreciated him. But he was on the losing end that time.
That is a very true point. It is like the MS Dhoni conundrum where he bowled Joginder Sharma in the last over of the 2007 T20 World Cup, and it paid off. And that's why we call him one of the modern day greats. If it had backfired, maybe we would have all criticized Dhoni for that decision. So that's a very fair point as to KL Rahul experimenting. Uh, One final question to you about what everyone has been talking about: Nicholas Puran's catch, the catch attempt where he threw the ball back. Was it one of IPL's greatest catches, fielding moments ever that ever occurred?
See, the great John T. Rhodes himself bowed down to him, so that speaks for itself. Excellent effort. Had Maxwell been able to catch it, it would have been the catch of the to say the decade, the best of the IPL. So it was excellent effort, and the fielding in general has been sloppy. But certain players like Puran, Duplessis are making catches look so easy. So that is a lone star shining in the part of fielding this year.
True that. And one more interesting stat about Jasprit Bumrah is that whenever he goes for a lot of runs in the previous matches, he comes back very strongly. And three of it, like all his comebacks, three have been against Kingsland and Punjab, and now he has made his fourth comeback too with an excellent economy against Kingsland and Punjab. Chahar and Pandya were really good for Mumbai Indians. The spin pair is working perfectly. The role playing has been amazing because one restricts the batsman for space, the other bowls wicket to wicket, and flights up the delivery at a point of time so that the batsman attempt to go for the shot and they miss hit it and it ends up being a catch. So one final question before I go to the last match. Vamsi, now Kings 11 Punjab have had contenders for the orange cap. Agarwal and Rahul are fighting amongst themselves for the orange cap, and they also have contenders for the purple cap. But their success rate has been low in the IPL right now. Only one match won and three matches lost. So, what would you like to say about the Kingston Punjab's, luck or fate at this point of time? Do you think
Yeah,
that's
I
what's
was.
influencing them?
Yeah, I was about to say they are unlucky because the first match they should have won it easily. Due to bad luck, the batsman timed it straight to the fielders. And here again, they executed their plans wrongly, and they ended up being on the wrong side. Uh, I think, as we discussed in the first video, something is not clicking for them as a group. So if that happens, they are an impeccable side with the coaching from John T. Rhodes, Anil Kumble, Wasim Jaffer. I expect them to do really well this season.
The hopes are high as to Kingston Punjab performing. It's only four matches down. Let's hope they come back strong. And going to the final match of the discussion, Sunrisers Hyderabad versus the Chennai Super Kings. As Raghav mentioned previously, Sunrisers have corrected their mistakes. They have come back strong. But one notable feature of yesterday was the youngsters carrying the load. At a point of time, it looked very difficult for the Sunrisers Hyderabad. Williamson had had been dismissed because of painful to watch run out, and then Bairstow, an amazing ball from Chahar had gotten better of him. Warner again was very slow and sloggy, but two youngsters stepped up the situation. Priyam Garg and Abhishek Sharma. Priyam Garg was the captain of the under 19 team. He stepped up with a brilliant 51. It was amazing to watch. What a piece of talent, that guy. And Abhishek Sharma, as usual, his explosive finishing role, he played it to his best. Rashid Khan, as usual, was brilliant with a 0 for 12 in his 4 overs. After his first match, he has been coming back really strongly, showing everyone why he is the number one spinner and all-rounder. So Dubai has seen a lot of variations in form, but Chahar was brilliant. Chawla came back to form too, with a very good economy rate, I would say. After looking at all his previous economy rates, this was absolutely amazing. One notable feature yesterday was the runouts. Duplessis was run out, Williamson was run out. So I feel the communication between the batsmen, the partners should be much better than what it is right now, because these are international players we are looking at. They should be able to communicate without even opening their mouth, with their mindset. But despite communication happening, they are fumbling a bit. I think that it will get better as the team gets closer with each other. MS Dhoni, the talk of the time right now, he was brilliant. in the end. But again, a slow start is what I think he himself told in the post-match presentation. He started down slow, should have gotten going a bit before. Sam Curran tried his best. Jadeja also tried his best. It was not a very big margin. They should have tried to win it. If only the top order had performed a bit better. So CSK's woes continue with the top order despite Ambati Rayudu returning. They found it a bit hard and they only scored 35 runs in the power play. So CSK should sort out their priorities right now, get their ideologies right. And MS Dhoni again and again, I don't know how many times people have told this, should play up the order. If MS Dhoni doesn't play up the order, CSK are losing. And an interesting stat before I finish off this discussion: whenever MS Dhoni plays above number 5, India and CSK have had a 57% win ratio, whereas whenever he goes down, like below 5, the ratio has come down drastically to 32%. And now, because of this match, it has gone down to 31.3%. So CSK must sort out their priorities right now and come back stronger. We all know that teams who have ended up in the bottom of the table at the start of the tournament come back and get the trophy at the final. We have seen this way too many times to declare any team out of the tournament right now. So let's hope CSK come back as they did in 2010. So that was a wonderful session of discussion. We will keep bringing you more stats in the upcoming weeks. No team can be ruled out. There's more excitement to come. We'll bring you everything right to your door. So this is Raghav, Swaminathan, Vamsi, Krishnan, and myself, Sushrut Vinayak, signing off from GT. Stay tuned for next week. For now,